Hi, today we're going to go through the PAT paper from 2009, looking at question 7. Okay, so question 7, the first part says, if two identical dice are thrown and their scores added, what is the probability that their total will be 10 or higher? And we're told as a hint in the question to list out the combinations that can give us a total of 10 or higher. So that's probably the way to go forward. So what can we have? So we've got the probability that our total score is greater than or equal to 10. Okay, well that's the probability that, well, we have, what's our combinations? We can have 10 from a 4 and a 6, or we could have it from a 5 and a 5, or we could have it from a 5 and a 6, or we'd have it from the other way around, a 6 and a 4, or we could have it from the other way around, a 6 and a 5, or we could have a 6 and a 6. Well, what's the probability of either of these events, of any of these events happening? Because they're all equally likely. Well, the probability of rolling a 4 on the first one is clearly 1/6, and the probability of rolling any number on any roll is 1/6. So the probability of getting two numbers on two rolls is 1/6 times 1/6. So it's 1 over 36. And they're all equally likely outcomes. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So clearly the answer is going to be equal to 6 times 1/6 times 1/6. Well, that's equal to 6 times 1 over 36, which is 1/6. Okay, now part 2 says if the two dice were rolled and their score was at least 10, and we roll a third die and add that to their score, what is the probability that the new score will be 15 or higher? Okay, well, let's list out the combinations that the first two dice could have. So after two rolls, it's 10 or higher. So it could be a 10, an 11, or a 12. Clearly we can't have higher than 12 because two dice only have 6 on each, or 6 on each, so 6 is 12. Can't have 13. So what could we have on the third roll? On the third roll, we need, for 10, we want it to be 15 or higher. So clearly we need a 5 or a 6. For 11, well, we need a 4, a 5, or a 6. And for 12, we need a 3, a 4, a 5, or a 6. What is the probability of a 5 or 6? Well, probability of rolling a 5 is a 6th, and rolling a 6 is a 6th, so that's going to be 2/6. The probability of a 4 or a 5 or a 6, well, that's 3 outcomes out of 6 possible outcomes, so that's 3/6. And for a 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, that's 4 outcomes out of a possible 6, so that's 4/6. Well, what's the probability of rolling a 10? Okay, well, a 10 could come from, let's list them down. We could get a 4 and a 6, we could get a 5 and a 5, or we could get a 6 and a 4. For 11, we could get a 5 and a 6, or a 6 and a 5. And for a 12, we can get a 6 and a 6. So, well, how many combinations do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3. And we know from before that each of them is probability 1 over 36. So that's going to be equal to 3 out of 36. But you have to remember, we've actually been told in the question that the score was at least 10. So we know that the score can only have been one of these 3 outcomes, one of these 6 outcomes. So in fact, this is actually disguised conditional probability. So we don't do 3 out of the possible 36 options. We only do 3 out of the options that we've been told, and that's 6. So the probability of this happening is only going to be, not 3 out of 36, it's going to be 3 out of 6. Because it's the 3 outcomes that we need to get 10 out of the only possible 6 that could have been rolled. Similarly, this is going to be 2 out of 6, this is going to be 1 out of 6. So that means our final probability will be probability of a 5 and a 6, so probability that total new is greater than 15, greater than or equal to, is a probability of 5 or 6, and the total was equal to 10, so that's equal to 10, or the probability you have a 4 or a 5 or a 6 and the total was equal to 11, or the probability you have a 3 or a 4 or a 5 or a 6, and the total was equal to 12. Well, that's equal to probability of 5 or 6 was 2/6, so it's 2/6 times probability it was a 10, that's 3/6, plus 4 or 5 or 6, that's, we know, 3/6 times total was 11, that's 2/6, plus the probability it was 3, 4, 5 or 6, that's 4/6 times probability it was 12, that's 1/6, and that gives us the probability the new total is greater than or equal to 15 is equal to 4/9. That's the answer.